So today we got to play Newton. We actually got this at Gen Con a couple of years
2018.
back. Yeah. So not the last Gen Con, the one before that. So this game is a worker placement card drafting.
A little bit.
Yeah.
You've got kind of a deck building.
Salad.
Hand management.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mechanics in this game. And I'm not sure why it's called Newton.
Well, it
has to do with universities.
It's got an apple in it.
If you're the first player, you get this apple with Isaac Newton on it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of research that you're doing.
Yeah.
Discovery.
You got students at the college. So.
And all the names on the cards. So.
Yeah.
And all the books are science and math books, which is cool.
So
sure
getting into
they have pi on the front.
Oh, well, that's clearly...
And that's an atom.
Okay.
And that's like a potion
forms
bottle.
Of science,
yeah, but it's all the same book.
Yep.
You have all your blue books is the same book. It could be
a lot of repetitive reading. Volume 1, Volume 2. You don't know. Don't judge it. Maybe they like to read that book.
All right, moving on to quality of pieces. So you have cards.
They're linen. They're linen cards.
Yeah.
So a little bit of texture.
Yeah, they're not bad cards. I mean, they're pretty good thickness. I mean, they're not bendy.
Yeah.
And decent cardboard.
Yeah, you got a bunch of different cardboard chits along with wooden bits. And then your guys, they are shaped into something. I'm not sure what, but they're not your standard meeple shape.
We didn't play with the coins because the coins are not great. They're tiny and they're cardboard. So we used our usual poker chip coins.
Right.
So as far as quality go, there's nothing absolutely fantastic about this game. Mm-hmm. I would slate this as a 6. There's just nothing. I mean, it's all right. It's functional. There's just nothing amazing to this. Your thoughts, guys?
Only because the cards are a little bit higher quality than Catan would I go as 6.
That's why
everything else is pretty plain Jane.
Yeah, I agree. It's straight up cardboard other than the cards, and the cards are a lot nicer.
That's why I gave it a 6.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so
Alex?
Yeah, a 6.
Okay.
So moving on to theme, like I said, I'm not sure really what the theme has to do with anything.
I mean, it gave them an excuse to have the bookshelves. I think really.
That's true.
That's the main thing. They were like, well, how do we tie a 2-track movements and a crossword puzzle bookshelf strategy?
I would say the theme is light.
It's very light. It's
layered on. Yeah, it's very layered on. I mean, it's there, but barely.
Yeah, I mean, it ties to gameplay. You can make the argument, but it's. I mean, it doesn't have to be Newton. It could be It could be Einstein.
Right.
I came out of that confused as to what it was. Like, I actually asked you, are we supposed to be like learning? Are we like getting education in the game, or are we like?
Yeah. So that I think was a little confusing. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not an easy flow.
No.
So for that, what would you guys give this a score for theme?
I mean, the artwork is okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's mostly iconography. This is not really a lot of art.
It's mostly iconography, except for the scoring cards.
Mm-hmm.
The scroll cards have the
There's
art.
still iconography.
Yeah, I mean,
but there's the pictures of the people.
Yeah.
On each of the scroll cards, and that's about the extent of it.
They're all right.
I mean, I mean, it's nothing to brag about, but it's.
I mean, I can't see giving this thematically more than a 6. I mean,
I agree.
I think 6 is pushing
It's not the strength of this game at all.
No, gameplay is where this is all.
I agree with 6. If you twist my arm, I'm like, fine.
Alex, what's your opinion on it?
I actually, I'm gonna give it like a 5, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can get that. So moving on to rules.
So the
I've
rulebook.
learned in a while.
So the rulebook is not bad for as complex as the game appears. It's actually, when you get playing, it's not that hard of a game. I mean, I know Alex, this was your first time playing. We'll talk to you even about that. But as far as the rules, if you're playing without the expansion, this works fine. Problem is, we had the expansion mixed in, and there's no rule book for the expansion.
Or you lost it.
Yeah, well, I don't think. I'm thinking. I don't generally lose.
I understand that, but
So I don't think we had one, and that meant we had to look it up online. So there were some cards that we had that we had to research online, which is frustrating. But otherwise, I mean, all of the in-game scoring cards are in the back. All the icons are represented right before that. Yes, a cheat sheet would be ideal for this, absolutely. I'm going to give the rule book, because it doesn't have the cheat sheet, I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
I think it probably would have got an 8 if there were cheat sheets.
But I honestly don't know why you need cheat sheets. Most of the iconography is pretty straightforward.
It's the cards. Some of the cards were confusing, and we didn't know about the, especially some of the expansion cards, where we didn't know if it
was some
was
iconography
a transfer or if it was in addition to. It wasn't clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and the thing is like, this is the same person that made Lorenzo, and I'm very familiar with how they use iconography, so maybe I'm a little more comfortable.
Well, I think they're smart iconography.
Oh, no, I think
don't get me wrong.
Great.
It's not. Once you learn the system, I think it's not that bad. But trying to learn the system can be complex. And
I can see that.
And I'm sure we looked at this a lot more than we did the first time we played this.
It's been a while since we played it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've played this multiple times, and I will say, like, the first time we played, well, that's more gameplay. But as you get more familiar with the system, it becomes a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's been forever since I read the rule book, so I want to take your word on it.
Let's dive into gameplay.
Before we do that, I want to get Alex's opinion on what he thought of the rules.
Okay, so this is, like he said, it's my first time playing. And it's actually one of my first times playing a more complex game.
Right, that's why I wanted to ask your opinion, because you're coming in fresh. You've played a lot of entry-level games, you've played a lot of party games, but you haven't really played a game like this, a strategy game that's kind of a heavy Euro strategy type game.
Yeah, okay, so honestly, I thought that the rules were actually pretty easy to follow. They weren't like too overbearing. They were like, okay, like if you're new to gaming and you see this, you're probably going to be a little bit overwhelmed at first, but once you actually get to know what the things mean, you like pretty much can just guess at that point like what everything means, and it's not too hard. It's not too hard.
Awesome. Okay. All right, now
let's jump into gameplay. So there is a lot of different components in this game when we talk about gameplay. First, you have.
Wait, did you give it a rule score?
Yes, 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have your own player board, which has your stack of books. And throughout the game, if you play, well, let me kind of back up a minute. So you have a hand of cards, and each of that hand of cards has different actions on those cards. And you have 5 actions throughout the round that you will play one of the cards and therefore play an action. One of those is to get more cards, right? So that's your deck building component to it. The other one is to play the book action, which is actually your player board, which is you have a stack of bookshelves that you're trying to fill by meeting those requirements. And then you have the compass.
Before that is your income chart that you're basically filling. If you fill a row or a column, it's kind of a crossword pattern on it. Mm-hmm. You get victory points, or you can earn, I guess all that's victory points. But you can add, you can add icons to it to add additional other coins or potions, which potions are special in this. But yeah, you can add other income. So that is your income chart.
Yeah.
And that's why it's very important to fill that.
And then you also have the compass action, which allows you to travel across Italy. And
that's all of Europe, actually. It's France and Spain and England.
And this is your scientist. So this is more like them discovering the different things.
I think they're traveling.
No.
Well, no, I think they're
the topics of the different signs.
I think that's
they're
more
traveling to not to.
I didn't know you discovered Europe. That's awesome.
I think it's more of traveling to different universities because you're laying down your little figure that you've studied there. But again, that's where that theme becomes really weak. I don't know why I'm traveling across Europe. I just know that I am, and I'm trying to put my pieces down so I can.
Well, you're trying to collect the whole set of all these
you're
books.
Traveling
Yeah.
it's worth victory points. That's why they did it back then, too.
Well, yeah. So, and then
I need the last of the green books.
So then the other action is, or there's two other actions. Then you have your, I guess, math action that allows you to get income. It's strictly how many you move, you get that many coin. That's pretty straightforward.
You're pimping math out up on the street
corner. I think it's actually the tutoring track. You're essentially tutoring people to get money, okay?
Hey, baby, for 3 coins.
I'll solve the quadratic equation.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And then the last and final option is the gear action. The gear action allows you to, I guess, eventually graduate.
Well, those are students. You can you have 4 students that you can potentially gain in the game. You start with 1, and you can add more. And that gives you basically their paths of education. Although looking at it, there's really no differentiation of what they're actually studying.
They're studying victory points.
Yes, they're definitely learning about victory points.
So theme again, very light on this game. So those are the different actions, and really, at the end of the day, you are just trying to get victory points, and it is very much a point salad game. The first couple of times I played it, I really struggled with this game. Like, I love Lorenzo, and I really got into that. But this game,
it's very different than Lorenzo.
It is very different.
And there's 2 key things in this game where I think I did finally maybe figured something out this time around. And the first thing is that hand management is so important, because at the end of your 5 actions, you've got to basically scrap a card.
Yep.
You slide it underneath your board, and it gives you a bonus to that action. Not the action itself, it's a bonus to the action if you play it later on. And so there's that. So knowing how and which cards to get rid of, extremely important, because I can't tell you how many times in previous games I got rid of the wrong card at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And the corollary to that is you got to acquire the cards to backfill. And that takes actions away from you being, because they're really not that important, the cards, other than the fact that you need them to continue having actions, and having variety of actions. So you got to manage not just your deck as you earn them, but also what ones you're going to acquire.
And then the other key part of it is what I alluded to, is when you play an action, it gets multiplied by previous actions that you play.
Yeah.
So if you play the book action, which allows you to be able to play on your board, you play 1 book action, allows you to be able to potentially, if you meet the requirement, as Miranda had said earlier, to fill up 1 spot on that 1 book row. But if you play another book that gives you 2 books, then you can go into the 2nd row, or the 3rd book allows you to go into the 3rd row.
Right.
And so that's the other key thing that I think that sometimes I missed earlier. It was like, man, I really wanted to go to that 2nd row, but I didn't play the right card in the right order.
Yeah.
And it didn't give me that ability.
Yeah, so you have to, and that's the third part, is you have to manage the sequencing of when you play them. And especially with the wild being an option, because the wild doesn't give you an icon, but it does trigger.
For that, when you play the card.
Yeah.
Once you play the card, it's no longer a wild.
It's no longer wild. It doesn't have any value. So you got to manage when you're going to play things. So there's a lot of strategy in just the card play of it, not to mention all of the other options you have on the board.
Yeah, so this game definitely I would consider medium to heavy, with the strategy involvement. But let's give it a score. What was your favorite element of the game? Like, what is your favorite element? Because we've played this multiple times, and for a game to actually get to the table.
This is the first time where I was able to effectively move at the top map. And I had a lot of fun. Once I figured out how to do that and get moving around, it was a lot of fun for me. And usually I have more fun trying to figure out just being able to play combos. And that's cool. But being able to play on that map and be able to score well off of it was really satisfying. So my favorite part was moving on the top map.
Randy, what was your favorite part?
All of it. No, I mean, I love that there's so many ways to play this game. That's what I love about it, because I mean, you can focus. You can't do everything. There's no way to do everything.
I can try.
You can do bits of everything, but there's no way you can max everything.
Like I did nothing. I did not touch the money track at the top this time.
Yeah, and you've got to pick and choose what are the strategies you're going to pursue. And I was helping Alex because this is his first time playing, so I didn't really technically play, but I was advising Alex. And he made some decisions that would have been different than what I did normally, but it panned out. He came in second by 3 points, and that's his first time playing. So I mean, it's amazing how much variety there is in this game. I love the fact that you're managing those cards, and there's a lot of strategy there, as I mentioned. I like the fact that there's 2 paths that you're walking around. It's not just one that you're managing. You've got 2 distinctly different managing systems for how you're going to move pawns around.
I think there's an interesting difference. You love your point salad games.
I do.
This isn't a point salad. There's a lot of different ways to score, but you're not scoring all of it at the same time.
No.
Like true point salad, like a Step and Fell game. You score a bunch.
But it does have. You've got an engine.
You just
building.
have a lot of options.
You have an engine building with your income system. You've got a lot of points you can acquire as a student moving around. You've got points you can acquire from moving around.
Right, like I said, you have lots of options.
The only thing
but you're not scoring all of those options.
Right. The only thing that rarely gives you points is the cards. Right. And to some extent the working, but the working gives you money, which translates to the points too. So
I think that's interesting.
I just think it's a really a well balanced system. It's a little dry. I mean. We've had several people play that didn't like it because it's dry.
But really, in all good Euros. Really
exactly. They're Euros. I mean, you'd expect them to be a little dry as far as most Euros.
Yeah.
But it just has, every element of this game I like, which is funny because I don't like Lorenzo.
Yeah. Well, Alex, what was your favorite part?
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that my favorite part was definitely the fact that you weren't screwed if you just wanted to do things a certain way. Like what my dad was saying about the variety of things. If you want to get victory points by using the top map, by all means you can. If you want to use it use the bottom map a whole lot, by all means you can. If you want to get a whole lot of books, which even though I had only 3, which that ended up being my strategy, because I had a lot of potions and stuff, by all means you can.
But the cool part about your strategy is that even though I built way more books than you did, you built books on the higher scoring part of the bookshelf, where I scored on the lower end. I just scored more of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think my favorite aspect to this game is there's so much to manage. It keeps me engaged, right? I'm planning at the very beginning of the round what each card, this is the phase that I'm doing.
Right.
And then when everyone does that, the game actually, that round goes by really quickly because everyone knows exactly what, except for the last round. Everyone's like, okay, how do I get my last point that last round? The last round slows down significantly, but other than that, it goes fairly quickly.
I think it's a good point because I know I've complained on several games about, downtime. And, when it's your guys' turn, I'm really not doing anything in a lot of games. You have to really think about what you're planning when it's not your turn. Because even though it doesn't really matter what they're doing, I got to think about what I'm doing or I could really hurt
and then when most people set up what they're going to do that whole round, then it's real. You could see, you saw really quickly, bam, 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 oh, it's my turn already, bam. So once you kind of get that lined up, you're pretty much good to go. And I appreciate that to a point because that way, it, no one likes downtime really. Let's give a score, guys.
It's a wonderful game. I would give it a 9 if some of the other elements was just a little bit better, like better components, maybe better cardboard or something like that. I'm gonna give it a high 8.
Well, see, I'm kind of the reverse of you because I've already penalized him for the board, or I've penalized him for the theme being completely layered on. Gameplay, I'm just purely looking at gameplay here. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't really want to give it a 10. I don't want to give it a 10. I can't think of a reason not to give it a 10, though. I honestly can't. There's everything I like about a game in this game. There's there's nothing I don't like about this. There's absolutely nothing. The only and what I don't like, I've already talked about, and not in gameplay. I think this is a 10 for me.
I'm at a 9 for this because I hate to say this. I don't know why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. I just know they give me victory points,
And they work.
and it works, right? And so in that case, I'm like, 9. If I knew why I was doing things and maybe understood the why, maybe I would, maybe just give that little last bit of
But
enjoyment.
isn't that just vain though? Isn't
Well, yes, but my thing is though their gameplay I typically also put enjoyment in, and I think the only thing that can make this game to bring out even more enjoyment would be I actually knew why I was doing the things.
Because you're Newton.
So
Aren't we all Newton deep down inside?
Science!
It's like, science!
So I'm at a 9. I'm at a 9. It's good, solid, wonderful fun. I just wish I knew why I was doing it.
Auto score?
okay? My score, man. Okay, I think it's a 9 too, and my grievance with it, I actually got enjoyment out of it, even though I was a little bit confused of the theme. I don't factor it in as much. The only thing that's kind me off for it is, man, the top of this is not as good as you would think it would be, and with all of the opportunities you have to get victory points in this game, this one if you're wanting to invest in it like Dwight was, you're not gonna get much of a profit there. So
but see, it's possible, because one of the other things we didn't really talk about is the variability of the board setup.
Yeah,
it changes drastically
it's
each time you set it up. So there might be tokens that come out here that really exploit that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a token that gives you for every coin as a victory point at the end of the game. There was one time that this was here, and Randy just ignored it. I zoomed up there, and I ended up winning because, literally the end of game points was perfect with this track.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's not always the case.
That's the thing, is you can't play this game always the same way.
Right.
So but I do agree with you. I wish that track was a little
this
stronger.
particular game, you're right, was again, I didn't even touch it. Didn't see the need to touch it.
Yeah, I feel like this track could be a little stronger. I'm not sure how they would do it, but this should have been a little bit stronger.
So you gave it a 9. I guess I'm the low man on the totem pole.
You
10,
are.
I did.
A high 8.
Look, she works out.
I do.
She works out.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast tonight, and I hope you guys did too. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We'd love to see you guys again. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.